Hey everybody, and welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. I'm your host, Lex.
And I'm your other host, Dan. We are a weekly video game news podcast broadcasting live every week, usually from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're a little bit late this week.
I was so busy today.
You were very busy. Lex was very busy with important business, so we're a little bit late. But we broadcast live. We talk about all the current video game news, everything from the past week, as well as upcoming things. We usually do a bunch of stories about the industry, a bunch of stories about upcoming releases. This week we're talking about the Assassin's Creed movie, some new Nintendo news, some new Overwatch news. Honestly, it's the holiday season, so we're a little threadbare on news today. So maybe at the end of the podcast, if we got extra time, we can all just talk about some games we've been playing.
Merry Crimbus, everyone.
Merry Crimbus, everyone.
But yeah, so you can find us on all sorts of social media, basically just by searching for Don't Copy That Floppy Podcast or DCTF Podcast, which is our Twitter handle. And it is Friday, December 23rd. We are joined this week by another special guest.
Our second ever special guest. Introduce yourself, man.
Hello, my name is Chris Boudreau. I'm a guy. Video game related things. I used to write for a website called Twinfinite. I do freelance editorials and musician besides that, audio engineer. I also make catnip toys. That's mostly what I make money off of.
And that's how we discovered him.
This guy making catnip toys. Get him on the podcast.
Get him on the show. We need him here now. That's what you're here to talk about.
I can, if you want me to.
Maybe if we have some extra time at the end of the show. I mean, I have a cat. I'm interested. So it's great to have you on the show. Like I said, you're our second ever guest. We feel so important now that we're having guests.
Dude, into the new year, hopefully we'll have even more crazy stuff.
I need to find some people to be guests.
You should. Next year, teaser for the audience, we might have some intro music.
Oh my god, that would be super exciting.
Yeah.
The intro won't just be us desperately trying to clamber together information for you.
No, I can tell you, all the listeners, I can tell it's super professional. Wicked professional.
Yeah, we're on top of everything. That's why we're starting a half an hour late. That's fine. Usually I'm the reason we're late. So, as I said, we're going to kick off the show tonight by talking about the Assassin's Creed movie. So the big first question here would be, who all here has seen the Assassin's Creed movie?
Not me.
Resounding silence?
I really wish we had crickets programmed into our soundboard.
Oh my god, yeah, we just have, air horns, and that's not really appropriate here.
I can't do that.
So, the Assassin's Creed movie, we're not alone in our not seeing of the Assassin's Creed movie. Many people have not seen the Assassin's Creed movie. I would hazard to say that the majority of people have not seen the Assassin's Creed movie.
I didn't even know it was coming out.
I didn't. It released yesterday, or no, not yesterday. It released Wednesday.
So that's weird, because why would you release a movie in the middle of the week?
Yeah, that's very bizarre.
Yeah. Also,
and against Star Wars.
Well, there's that too. We'd get to that.
But I heard a lot of hype for this, especially at the Game Awards, which was. Half of that was just one big advertisement, so that makes sense.
Hey man, Gillette man.
The Gillette man. Come
Gillette
on.
man.
What was it called? The Chic Hydro Man.
Hydrobot.
Hydrobot.
Yes.
That's what it was. I'd watch a Hydrobot movie before I watched an Assassin's Creed movie, I think.
Especially if Michael Fassbender's in it.
Yeah.
Does Michael Fassbender cut himself with a radioactive razor and become some sort of man-machine hybrid in the film? Is that the plot?
I think so.
We can only hope.
But no, so this is I had heard a lot of hype about this movie, that it was gonna come out, but I just didn't assume it would start in the middle of a week, so that sort of threw me off guard.
Yeah.
Initially, the reviews I had seen from this were, oh man, this is a great video game movie, but that's a low bar.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's the general consensus right now. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 20%.
Whoa, that's bad.
Critic score. Yeah. So generally bad.
I honestly thought it would be lower.
To be completely honest, I actually thought it might be a little bit higher than that. Yeah. It looked okay for a popcorn action movie kind of thing. Like, I had no interest in going to see it, but it looks...
The line that really killed me was when I was watching a trailer and it says, "You're an assassin," and then like it played like the blah, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
like this is good stuff. Great.
The more blahs your movie trailer has nowadays,
Yeah.
like that's your clout right there. That's what gets people into the seats.
Was it Inception that gave us that in trailers?
Totally. Because when
That was
Inception,
definitely Hans Zimmer.
yeah, absolutely.
One or the other.
When Inception first came out, I believe, like, because when people saw the Inception trailer, the blahs were like a fresh new thing. Everybody loved it. They were like the Inception trailer thing, but now it's everywhere.
Now it's way overused.
It's crazy. So this movie's not doing very well. I took the liberty of pulling up its Wikipedia page because I was like, maybe I should learn a little bit more about this before we talk about it on the show.
But then you thought, nah.
And then I was like, why'd this movie come out on a Wednesday? And oh no, it's only grossed $7.5 million so far.
Oh wow!
Against what kind of budget?
Against a budget of $125 million. So, it hasn't really had its opening weekend quite yet.
No, but that's still a real bad sign.
There's going to be more people going to see Star Wars a second or third time this weekend than people going to see Assassin's Creed.
Or just not go to the movies, because goddamn Krampus, don't go to the movies.
Hey, not everybody celebrates Christmas.
That's true.
Some people take Christmas as a time to eat Chinese food and see movies.
I was gonna say, yeah, I had some Jewish friends that used to just go fucking eat Chinese food.
That seems to be like the tradition in the Jewish community. I have some Jewish friends as well who I know do that every Christmas.
It's because all the people working the Chinese restaurant don't celebrate Christmas either.
Exactly, yeah, they don't care. They'll make Chinese food for whoever.
I went to get hibachi this afternoon, and there was a big sign on the door saying, "Hey, you guys, open on Christmas."
Oh yeah. Asian countries don't really do Christmas. I mean, Japan does it, but in Japan you just hang out with your girlfriend and eat Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that Kentucky Fried? Because I forgot. That's like the weirdest thing. It's like something got lost in translation there.
Yeah.
Or Kentucky Fried Chicken made the most brilliant marketing push into the Asian market.
I like to think that it's because Colonel Sanders has the beard and the whole color aesthetic is white and red. So somewhere in there,
I hope that's the reason.
They were just like, yeah, this stuff has to go together. We've got this. We got it covered. But I know it's also
Chicken Day.
Yeah, exactly. It's a couples holiday over there too. Interestingly enough, more than a family thing.
Like a Valentine's Day kind of deal.
Yeah, absolutely. But they have 4 Valentine's Days on top of that. So Japan, in spite of the low birth rate, very romantic country.
Yeah, they just like to meet cute more than the actual making of babies.
Absolutely. They're in it for the hunt, not the not the culmination of everything.
Yeah, it's because it's kawaii.
Yeah, So we got way off topic already.
But
so Assassin's Creed movie, maybe not so good.
Yeah,
looks like garbage.
Looks pretty bad.
I was really hoping that it would be good because I just want there to be a video game movie where people are like, "Hey, this is a good movie."
Well, some people. I read. There's an article I have here from Destructoid that says the movie is good if you already like Assassin's Creed.
Right. Which I don't.
I played this. I played Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, and then I haven't touched the franchise since. So
maybe it's like the Warcraft movie, which if you love World of Warcraft, you love that movie.
Yeah.
Or if you're Chinese.
Or if you're Chinese.
Because it did really well in China, apparently.
I wonder how well Assassin's Creed will do in China.
That I wonder as well.
I doubt it'll do Warcraft or Transformers numbers.
No.
Absolutely not. No.
But,
if I had to guess. Honestly, when I first saw when I heard of the Assassin's Creed movie thing, and then I saw the first trailer, I was like, this looks like it could be stupid fun, really dumb, almost like B-movie level action movie,
right?
Like shit that used to happen in the late '80s, early '90s.
Super
but
Mario
then
Brothers.
Exactly. Yeah. There. Oh God. But yeah, the more I just saw trails of it, I was like, "This is, it's just another one of those. It's another Max Payne.
It's another one for the pile."
Yeah, Remember the Max Payne movie?
Oh, God.
I actually don't remember that, but you know what? I remember
it.
I remember the Prince of
Persia?
Prince of Persia movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I forgot that got made.
That movie.
Thing actually, this is not Ubisoft's first venture into making their franchises into movies.
And this
Clearly not.
Assassin's Creed movie has got to be better than the Prince of Persia movie, because I watched that movie and that movie's horrible.
Oh no.
Like, really unwatchably bad.
Yeah.
So the real question is, we should move on from here, but the big question to come away from the Assassin's Creed movie, the current state of the Assassin's Creed movie is, will any video game movie from here on out ever be able to top Street Fighter 1994?
Probably not. I actually watched that recently, and it's fucking still awesome.
I adore that movie.
Sorry. Oh, by the way, can I swear on this podcast?
Absolutely. We don't do it like crazy, but we do it. We dabble. We dabble in profanity.
I have a propensity for foul mouthness.
I do too. So you're among friends here.
I don't.
So yeah, Street Fighter 1994, great movie. Instead of spending your money on Assassin's Creed tickets, why don't you just watch that?
Yep,
Go buy the Blu-ray.
It's actually free on YouTube right now. Probably not for long, but
Oh my god, just in time for Christmas.
yeah, you get to see Chun-Li get naked in a shower and fight Vega.
Yeah!
Oh man, a Christmas miracle.
So, on to more upsetting news.
Yeah.
We got a Kotaku article from Tuesday, the 20th, about Crytek. And last week we talked about how Crytek was falling on hard times.
They weren't paying their employees.
Yes.
They had gone like months and months without paying people.
And there were problems regarding this, like a while ago.
A couple years ago. 2014, the same thing happened.
There you go. And now we have learned that Crytek is actually closing 5 studios following this year because they had a rough financial year.
So this is their studio in Hungary, Bulgaria, South Korea, China, and Turkey.
Yes. I did not know that they had studios in most of those places.
Dude, apparently Crytek had a bunch of freaking studios.
Yeah. Do you think, do all these studios, they weren't all working on games, it must have been a lot of engine tech and a lot of stuff like that for the Crytek engine.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well, because apparently the thing that they really made money on the past several years has been leasing out their engine.
Yeah.
Although, one of the things that I think was mentioned in one of the articles that we talked about last week was that part of the reason why they probably weren't paying people is because everyone's getting real cozy with, like, the Unreal Engine.
Yes.
Yeah, people are way less interested in using the Crytek engine right now, so they're getting less business on that end as well.
Right.
Makes sense.
Because when you hear people talking about upcoming games in development currently for the current generation consoles and even for the PC, all you're hearing about really is the Unreal Engine.
Mm-hmm.
And that even includes the Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah.
At this point. So yeah, the Cry engine is unfortunately kind of falling by the wayside for most developers, it seems like.
So they're only retaining 2 studios, which is Frankfurt, Germany, and Kiev, Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So that's a significant downsizing.
Yes.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I think it's, it's telling also maybe, like, there's been a boom recently in Eastern European video game development.
Yes.
And they may... I don't know what benefits they may get, but they may get a ton of state-based benefits for being a video game developer in those countries. Because I know CD Projekt Red, I believe, talked about how they get state-funded benefits for being a Polish studio.
Interesting. I did not know that, but that would make sense actually, because we have been hearing a lot both in the indie scene and in the AAA game development scene more recently of stuff coming out of Eastern Europe, and I think The Witcher 3 is kind of the big flagship example. Big one. Yeah. Witcher 2 before it also, but... Yeah.
And they, CD Projekt or Projekt Red, they make most of their money from GOG.com, which they own.
I didn't know they owned that, actually.
That's how they make all their money. That's how they can afford to make Witcher 3,
Right, yeah, that makes sense. Because that game had a doozy of a budget.
And a long dev cycle.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure that Cyberpunk 2027 or whatever it's called is going to be bigger. Yep. I can't fucking wait for that game, by the way.
Me neither.
But yeah, so actually a really interesting story recently out of that that block, sorry to use that phrasing from the 80s, but the Eastern European section of video game development was the makers of the Metro games.
Oh, right, yeah. Metro 2033.
They were in central Ukraine during the revolution recently, and their studios were like firebombed, and they had to move their before getting moved back in. But they released the game under those conditions. The Metro Last Light, I think it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think that was the first one. Yeah.
Because there's other titles. The Stalker games.
Yes.
Also, which have a pretty strong cult following on the PC.
Yep.
Are also out of they're a Ukrainian developer, I believe.
I
but now
think
I'm
so.
not sure off the top of my head.
Or Russia, one or the other.
Yeah.
Set in Russia. Or one of them.
Because it's set in like the Chernobyl area of Ukraine. Who made this?
Pripyat. Shadows of Pripyat.
GSC Game World, Ukrainian video game developer.
Yeah.
Also based in Kiev, right there where Crytek is.
Yep. Yeah, so they obviously have some kind of good culture there for developing video games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stuff.
So the thing that, since they're closing all these studios and we know that these employees had not been getting paid for months and months, the thing that supposedly what we have heard, according to this article, is they are going to be giving the back pay to these people. Although if these people worked at a studio that's getting closed, these people are out of a job. But they will get that back pay.
Yeah.
So...
Crytek said they put plans into action to secure jobs and ensure a smooth transition and stable future for those who will lose jobs as part of these studio closures. Whether that actually happens, we'll have to wait and find out.
So it's a good foot forward, at least.
Yeah. It's good that they've at least made the statement, so we can hope that comes to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
On the Sony front, we have a story about God of War 4, from Games Radar that was published yesterday, and that allegedly the development of God of War 4 is much further along than most people think. The director of the game said that he has actually played the game from start to finish.
That's pretty far.
That's pretty far along in the dev cycle. That means they just got some polishing up to do, and
Yeah, supposedly there's
lots of QA still needing to be done.
Yeah, lots of glitches, and the graphics are probably there's some.
And things aren't optimized.
Yeah, but wow, okay, because we just heard about this game at this past E3.
E3 with a hell of a showing. The opening game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember we talked about there were rumors about a new God of War game with Norse thematic elements,
and we've been really not into it.
Both of us were like, nah, forget it,
Stupid.
Don't care, that's dumb. We were super down on it, and then we saw this trailer at E3, and both of us were like, oh wow, that looks really terrific.
Well, I think the big thing was, when I first heard it was going to be Norse, I assumed what they were going to do, which they had done in previous God of War games, was they were going to take the God of War game and just slap Norse paint on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Kratos gets mad, kills all of Norway.
He goes to Ragnaros, he takes down, Odin or whatever.
Yeah, kills Odin, kills Thor, kills Loki, all of them are dead, and then he gets mad about something else at the end of the game. So yeah. But instead we got this very, a change to the gameplay style for one, where it's much more, locked in on Kratos. It has almost more of a third-person, Resident Evil 4 style, almost.
Yeah, over the shoulder,
but
definitely.
A melee action game with that kind of style. As well as really good production values for cutscenes and facial capture and voice acting.
Yeah, it looked beautiful.
Yeah, and the characterization of Kratos in this little preview we got to see was also good.
Well, that was the thing. I think we talked about this when we did our E3 coverage, but it was in that, how long was it, 3 to 5 minutes?
I think it was between 5
It was
and
pretty
10
lengthy.
minutes, actually,
It was in that space of time, we get more and better character development for Kratos than in all the other God of War games.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
He has more than one emotion.
Yeah, it was really fantastically done. So Lex and I both ate our words when we watched that and said, "Oh no, God of War! This new God of War game looks like it could be pretty cool."
I actually never played any of the God of War, but I've always watched them from a distance.
I have played all three. The first one, when it came out, was really something new and special. The second one was okay. And the third one, in my personal opinion, was hot garbage. But I have an unpopular opinion on that.
Which ones did David Jaffe work on, the first two or the first three?
I think he only worked on the very first one, actually.
Just the first one?
I think so. I'm pretty sure the other games were completely out of his hands for the most part. But I would need to fact check myself on that.
Yeah. That God of War 4, I mean, the opening, they started with that, like, Norse choir, and everyone's like, why is this woman like, yodeling, and this is strange. Opened it up. I think it looks fantastic. I'm curious to... They haven't released any more gameplay footage yet,
I don't believe so, no. But hopefully this news means that we will be getting a lot more about it soon.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't have any at PSX.
Yeah, it is strange.
That is, if development was this far along, you'd think that we would have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably do a very big reveal of like the more complete game. In the coming months. They'll do like a big showing of it and give us a set release date and everything.
So you don't think they're going to wait till E3 again?
If it's this far along,
they shouldn't need to, right?
No, but I don't know.
And Sony's release schedule now, I mean, now that they have their biggest first-party release to come out is going to be Horizon, I think, is going to be the first one of the next year.
Right.
And this, I mean, if it's this far along, this might fill in that gap, because beyond that, like, they got the Uncharted DLC, and then way out they got Death Stranding and Last of Us 2, which is, I mean, I'm guessing that's going to be a 2020 game, maybe, you know, or at least like 2019, realistically.
Right.
As I think, what's his face? One of the guys in charge of Naughty Dog said it's like this is very early development.
Right.
So this might slip into that summer gap into the release schedule before E3 or something like that. I was thinking
perhaps like a May mid-May release or something like that.
Yeah.
To kind of be their big title before E3, and then at E3 they can be like, "Oh, God of War just came out and everybody loves it, and here's what we got next." Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Do it that way.
And then I don't think they released a release date for Days Gone, which is the Sony Bend zombie motorcycle game.
Oh yeah, Last of Us spinoff.
Exactly. That trailer they showed for that, I thought it was a Last of Us game.
Yeah,
another Last of Us game.
It did had that vibe
for sure. God of War 4 may be coming out sooner than we think. In the latest installment of our ongoing series of indie developers or fan project developers announcing their fan projects just in time to have them taken down.
Specifically by Nintendo.
Another fan project has been taken down by Nintendo after the developer announced it.
So this is Pokemon Prism?
Prism, yes. Yeah.
Which was like a ROM hack?
It's a ROM hack of the second generation Pokemon games. So Silver and Gold. It is an ambitious ROM hack. It sets the game in an entirely different region from any of the other Pokemon games, with its own towns, its own gyms, an assortment of 250 Pokemon from the first 4 generations, which includes custom-done sprites of...
I was going to say, so they'd have to redo all the sprites.
Absolutely, yeah. Original music, a full story, like everything. Like, this game it's robust. Like, it is nothing to sneeze at. And these guys have been working on this ROM hack for quite some time.
I think it was 8 years.
Yeah, Adam Vieira, who's the main developer.
Oh no, his handle is the best.
Adam Koolboyman.
Hey, Koolboyman.
Koolboyman, with a K. Developer of this ROM hack, was sent a cease and desist letter from Nintendo's Australian law firm, which he uploaded to Google Drive with the identifying information redacted. So the basic idea is since the game is altering a source ROM of Pokemon Gold to create an entirely new game, that is violating multiple Australian laws. Nintendo, in like the past couple months, has taken down an absurd number of fan projects at this point.
I mean, they have a history of it.
Yeah.
A pretty deep history. The last one, there was a Metroid 2...
Yes.
one, SR38 or whatever it was called.
Yeah,
Project.
it was like AM something.
And it was like an HD port, right?
More or less.
Yeah.
I played it. It was basically they took Metroid 2, which was the Return of Samus, which was the Game Boy game, and they gave it the aesthetic and look and mechanics of the Game Boy Advance games, Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion.
Interesting.
And it played awesome. It's great. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Metroid games, so I was hell yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to play it. I mean, I'm sure I could still find it somewhere though.
It's been released in the wilds of the internet.
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand Nintendo's prerogative. They have the prerogative to do this. I mean, legally, it's their IP. They have the right to do this. I just don't understand. Nintendo baffles me. In terms of like outward facing, like public facing, good image, this does not help that at all.
No, not in the slightest. They've really bungled their PR, the way they've handled their PR on this front, especially nowadays with fan projects like this being such a common thing.
Yeah.
It's strange to see them so adamantly shutting them down.
Well, it was also like we reported on this with the Game Awards thing, where there was a category for the Game Awards that was user created content, and two of the things on there were Pokemon Uranium and the Samus port.
And AM2R,
And like a week before the Game Awards happened, maybe it was 2 weeks. Nintendo contacted the Dorito Pope, and we're just like. We're just like, hey, you got to take these games off of the list. He
picked up his nacho phone.
So that happened, and then we just didn't have an award for that because like half of the contenders were removed.
Yeah,
really.
It wasn't.
That was supposed to be a category.
Yeah,
with an award and everything. Really? And at the actual show, they did not even announce a winner of it. It seemed as though the category was just kind of dropped silently to not cause a hubbub.
And I remember at the time tweeting about it and being like, Nintendo, like, this isn't even the games being released. You're just generating bad PR for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this goes back to like with the YouTube partnership that they were doing for Let's Players.
Oh, that was awful.
That was terrible too.
And it's like you guys don't understand like the Nintendo. They don't understand the modern gaming landscape and how things are promoted.
The idea of how Let's Plays can be like even on the Let's Play front, like Nintendo hasn't been super harsh on Let's Plays, but I can't help but feel like corporate Nintendo has this view alongside all of this condemning of fan projects that like, oh, I wish there were a way we could stop people from Let's Playing our games.
Well, you know what I wonder if their reasoning is Nintendo's always been geared more towards casual gamers.
Yes.
And casual gamers do not strike me as the people who are gonna hold a grudge about this stuff, because they're not the people that are gonna look into it or hear about it.
That's fair.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think that's because Nintendo's been doing this for a while, this kind of thing, and it really hasn't come back to bite them in terms of like fan petitions or protests or sales. So I think that's just going to encourage them to keep doing this stuff, because it really hasn't had any negative consequences. Like, everyone's still excited about the Switch.
Yeah.
But we have a story about the Switch later, so we can certainly get into that. But but I at this point put more of the blame on the people making the game, not because I don't want them to make it, but because I'm saying like, hey, if you're not selling this and you're not asking for donations while you make this, don't tell anyone you're making it. Release it on the internet, and the day you release it on the internet, be like, hey, you guys, this game released on the internet. This is just a Pokemon game. Who made it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's new Pokemon.
Nowhere.
That's the way to do it, though. I think back to about a year ago when we saw Project Shadow Moses, the Unreal Engine 4 remake of Metal Gear Solid 1. that some team was doing. They're like, hey, you guys, we're remaking Metal Gear Solid 1 in Unreal Engine. Look how cool this looks. It's going to be great. And then Konami said, no, it's not.
Because obviously they were going to say that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the thing. If you're developing this stuff without intending to get paid or donated to for your time, there's just no reason to hype it up ahead of time. Just put it out in the wild.
It's
when
not
it's
like
done.
you're making an original game and have a Kickstarter, so you need to do this this advertising.
And especially with Koolboyman over here, because
Koolboyman.
Can we change the pronunciation of that to Koolboyman?
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 Yeah, his name is Adam Koolboyman Biero.
But no,
that's it.
Especially with him, and this is a similar story to the Pokemon Uranium team, because you spent 8 years on this. You couldn't just keep your mouth shut for like another week.
He was just so excited.
The one thing I do like think about this, and I don't work in a video game company, so I don't know like how hiring goes. But this, a lot of this kind of stuff, like people making fan made projects, this harkens back to like the early days of PC game. Like a lot of big name people started from making Doom mods, from making Quake mods, you know, and from, you know, like the Counter-Strike is the perfect example. The whole team that started as a Half-Life mod, you know,
right? And now Counter-Strike Global Offensive is one of the top esports games in the world.
People are making millions of dollars off gambling on that game.
Yeah, they are. They got to get their ugly knives.
They do. Oh God, knives. But yeah, I wonder how much like, if there is any outreach from Nintendo, because I mean, obviously this is impressive, and AM2R is impressive. Like these are impressive feats that these people are doing, putting a lot of their own free time, probably doing it by themselves or with small teams. I wonder how much people are, Nintendo or other video game companies are reaching out and being like, hey, listen, you obviously have talent. Why don't you work for us officially, you know?
Yeah.
And work on our projects or something like that.
I have
if that happens as much as it did in like the early 90s.
I have a feeling that perhaps it does still happen, but with Nintendo, I feel like it wouldn't.
Because they feel so much more insular than other companies.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
And maybe that's just the inherent Japanese-ness of them as a country. And I don't mean that I don't mean to say that in an offensive way. There's definitely a mentality, a separated mentality when it comes to Western and Eastern game development.
Yeah.
Yes.
With Eastern also, mostly referring to Japanese.
Yeah, and even beyond game development, like Japan does have that culture of like you're with a company forever. Like you get hired, you're there till you die. You know, even if you can't, even if you're not doing anything, they'll just put you in a corner office somewhere and just be like, oh, he just gets paid, whatever.
And that's that's their mentality with everything over there. Yeah. Like you are in that position. If you get a position, that's your position until you are dead.
Right.
I mean, look at this is a non-video game example, but the woman who voices Goku in Dragon Ball, so he was a little kid in Dragon Ball, so they got a lady to voice him. But then he grew up in Dragon Ball Z, but they kept the lady voicing him. So he's a big muscle man with the voice of a 70-year-old woman. Right. And he still is.
Yeah. That's because it'd be dishonorable to fire her.
Exactly.
And that's cool. I mean, I think that's a cool practice.
It's respectable, for sure, but at the same time, like, I don't like Grandma Goku.
And you can extrapolate that to, in Nintendo, like, there's just the old blood still kicking around in that place, and that's, if I had to guess, that's one big reason why they make such weird decisions.
Yes. And
it takes them so long to make big changes as compared to more nimble companies.
Right. And it's perhaps part of the reason why we see the stagnation that they are often criticized of in their first-party titles. I think, like, Zelda in particular.
Yeah.
You see a lot of, like, okay, it's a Zelda game, so it's got to have this and this and this and this. Yeah. And there's not much originality into it, which hopefully Breath of the Wild will be changing.
A breath of fresh air.
Western influence.
Where are my air horns? Oh no, I don't have that program open. Thank you. That was really good, actually.
Let's jump to another Nintendo story.
We talked last week about how their stock had fallen off after the release of a Super Mario Run.
Well, guess what? It's not getting better.
Nope. Really? Because according to the stockholders, the greatest app release of all time on the iOS store is not good enough.
Okay, so we have a better idea now of why they think this way.
Yes.
From some stuff, this Business Insider article from December 22nd talks about it a little bit, but it's this idea that, okay, Pokemon Go comes out, and that has microtransactions in it.
Ooh.
So it's that even though it's free, it's going to keep making money in perpetuity as long as people are still playing it.
Very true.
However, Super Mario Run comes out, that is also free, and then you pay $10 to basically unlock the game. But once you've done that, there are no other microtransactions, so there aren't opportunities for that game to keep making money. And that's the investor's mindset. They think Super Mario Run is a failure because it doesn't have microtransactions.
Interesting.
That's unfortunate for the world.
It is. It's really unfortunate for the world.
But it's a definite symptom of the mobile gaming climate that has become so pervasive in gaming in recent years.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate because when Nintendo said that they were going to make this basically a premium product, like they're going to charge this one price for it, and that's what you get. I was like, that's really good on them. Like, I was hoping that a name as big as Nintendo putting out a fucking Mario game on the iOS would be enough for a lot of people to be like, maybe we shouldn't make really schemy games, bottom of the barrel shit for the iOS market. Maybe we should try to, reach for higher. But apparently, the money people don't think the same way.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing we've learned talking about the video game industry, it's that investors think completely differently from your average everyday person. So
there was also, and I can't remember if it was a stat in this article or something somewhere else, and I'm forgetting the exact number, but this article does say that in the first 4 days of Super Mario Run being out, it was downloaded more than 40 million times. Obviously a pretty big deal. But out of all those downloads, there was a much smaller percentage of money being made. Of those 40 million people, it was something like, I don't remember the percentage, but it was a fairly small percentage actually paying to unlock the game. And that was another thing that investors looked at, and they were like, oh no. It's making millions of dollars, but not enough millions of dollars.
Also, apparently, the user reviews for the game are currently sitting at around an average of 2.5 stars out of 5.
Yeah, people don't actually haven't reviewed it very highly, which is baffling to me because, Pokemon Go is a broken mess.
Less so now.
But that has great reviews.
But it has great reviews. It's just the charm of Pokemon. People can't get enough.
I think it's the charm of Pokemon, and I also think that was kind of a novelty. It's not really a novelty; it's just a geocaching game.
Yeah.
But I think it was a novelty to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And also it was a nostalgic hit for people. I assume we're all in our mid to late 20s.
Yep.
It was that was very much ooh, I get to be a kid again, because it's pretty much for a lot of people it was exactly what they always wanted. It's ooh, real Pokemon out in the world. It's this is awesome. Whereas the Pokemon Run is a very much more normal kind of app, it seems. Yeah. It's an endless runner where it might be a good endless runner. I don't know. I have not played it.
Yeah.
But it's it's just an endless runner. It's something that you could be on the Switch or on 3DS, except
Absolutely.
It's just instead.
It's just like a Nintendo Store game or something.
Right.
Too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas Pokemon Go could definitely not have existed on those platforms.
Could be on the Switch though.
That Switch.
Let's talk about the Switch. That's as good a time as any to transition to that.
Do we have to?
So we got a story from Eurogamer from the 19th.
Yes, indeed.
And it talks about how there's a company called Digital Foundry that does a lot of statistics analysis.
Yes, indeed.
And Digital Foundry has posited that the Switch is going to run way, way worse when it is not docked.
Yes, I believe the percentage estimation was a 40% drop in performance.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Which is significant.
It's pretty significant.
The first thing that jumps out to me about this story is, if that's the case, then is what Nintendo's been saying about the brains, so to speak, of this console being in the handheld unit true?
No, I think it's still true. But I think the idea is to not make the battery last 12 minutes.
Okay.
Everything needs to run.
It has a performance cutback to make up for, to improve the battery life.
Yeah, and when it's docked, you don't have to worry about that.
Fair enough. That is, okay. Yes.
So,
it sucks all around.
So that could be a problem, especially because I think it was this week we also heard from another game developer that they are tantalized by the Switch, and they feel that it's like the easiest to develop for out of... oh, you do have that.
I have this article from Destructoid also, yes, from yesterday, saying the Switch is easy to develop for. This is from Michael Pachter, who is a guy who... He's a business analyst, more or less, and he does a lot of stuff about the video game industry. And he's repeatedly called for Nintendo to go third party and second guessed their business decisions. Lex, you and I
agree
have...
with him more.
What's that?
I couldn't agree with him more for them to go third party.
Lex and I have talked about him on the show before.
Oh, because he's made a lot of predictions,
yes,
and most of them have been garbage.
Yeah,
as I recall.
The name does strike me. He's someone that makes a lot of broad predictions, and they don't usually come out.
Yes, he is. He has a show on YouTube called The Pachter Factor.
Oh, no.
Because of course he does. And he's basically saying that, said this week that since the PS4 and Xbox One use PC architecture, it's easier to port games from one system to another, but since Nintendo isn't using Windows or PS4's platform, he's actually heard from developers that Nintendo's the easiest of the three to develop for. But the issue is going to be processing power here. So this is my big worry, right? Like, if the Switch is easy to develop for, that's a good thing. Yes, because the Wii U was not.
But if you basically need to like tone down all your games because they're gonna run so much worse when they're in handheld mode, that's gonna suck.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's just it's troubling because it's like it's easier to develop for. Okay, so it's easier to develop for as long as it's not a high performance game.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's limiting, just like the Wii and just like the Wii U was. Like,
so I'm detecting an air of distaste towards the Nintendo Switch from you, Chris.
Not a distaste. It's
okay.
Fascinating. It's definitely fascinating. I think it has way too many moving parts. First of all,
okay. I'm what I was going into there is I'm just curious. Like, what are your thoughts on this console?
I think it's baffling. I think it's baffling because obviously they're trying to hit the mobile, not the mobile market, but the handheld market, right. As well as the at-home market by having this one product that does both. That's a cool idea, except they're also doubling down, as we just read, with the mobile market.
Right.
So it's like, are they trying to play against themselves now? Because it's like, I mean, in that release trailer, it showed this guy walking his dog or whatever, and then neglecting his dog while he was playing Breath of the Wild, and then it showed like people, like rich people on a rooftop, like drinking and playing Nintendo Switch with this little kickstand that looks really flimsy.
Antisocial Karen.
Antisocial Karen brought her Switch to the hipster party, and
right, it's like, oh, we're having a party on a rooftop.
Yeah. Whoa, we're such young people. Yeah.
That kickstand looks like nothing.
No,
exactly. The first thing I thought was like, wow, that's gonna break in 2 seconds.
It's an afterthought.
It's gonna be some dumb kid that's gonna fucking push too hard down on it. It's gonna snap.
Yep.
Yeah. If kids snap DS's hinges in half, then that thing doesn't stand a chance.
Oh, but here's the thing, and we talked about
2DS.
when we talked about the Switch for the first time when it first came out, we also brought up this idea that like, why would they have two devices for the mobile market effectively here?
Right.
And I'm wondering if that's because the DS might be like going away.
That's baffling as well because the 3DS sales are still pretty good.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Although
why would you want to compete with yourself in two other not only handheld and mobile markets with I don't know.
The 3DS has been criticized for a while for its lack of power.
Yeah.
And it's poor resolution as well. It's only got a 240p screen.
240p.
So there's some issues with the 3DS. Like they could really stand to put out an improved handheld, but like you said, Chris, the 3DS is still doing really well in spite of that, and good games come out for it. So
right. And you're also like this. To me, the Switch feels like something that was thought up a long time ago and just stuck around instead of kind of adapting to a modern market. This feels like obviously, I mean, it's probably been in development for 5+ years, and probably in R&D way before that. But like, it feels like an old idea that stuck around for too long. This feels like a 2009, 2010 idea to me. Like, this feels like something that when handhelds were still doing well, the Vita hadn't completely gone into a death spiral yet.
Yeah.
And like the 3D DS sales, and I can't remember actually when the 3DS came out, but
and the Wii was still like somewhat novel, and
exactly
people were into that kind of thing.
Yeah, this feels like it came from that portion of time, and I guess, I mean, they must have market research to claim that people still want something like this, or else they wouldn't do it, because, I mean, it's got to cost a lot of money to produce these things.
That's for sure.
But it just looks like it has a lot of moving parts. It looks like the parts are going to be expensive to replace. They don't look great. I mean, who knows? We've not and everyone besides Jimmy Fallon hasn't been able to, have their hands on it yet. So we don't know exactly how that's going to be. But also, just the lack of processing power, as described here, is troubling, because it's not even about like Nintendo can make their low-powered games and they're going to be great for a long time, but that's limiting their market still. They're never going to have the kind of resonance or push that they did like in Super Nintendo times or even N64 times, because they're not following any power market, whereas the rest of the industry is, I thought one interesting thing, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago, there were some more patents released for the 3DS. Not the 3DS, the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's right.
And there was one that showed it as like a VR thing.
Oh, we talked about that,
actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, no way. No fucking way.
Well, that's what Lex and I said. We were like, that's absurd. Like, that's not going to be a thing.
I think our thought process on that at the time was the patent had been filed in June or July.
Yeah.
And we thought about, okay, what did VR look like in June and July? It looked like the next big thing. So it seemed like Nintendo hedging their bets. To be like, oh, we want to make sure we have this patent, because if VR blows up over the summer, we want to capitalize on it.
Going to get that VR into the Switch.
Yeah, but that didn't happen, so it's likely that we're just finding out about the patent now and nothing's ever going to come of it.
Yeah. I'm honestly more bullish about VR as a whole than I am about the Nintendo Switch surviving. Like, I mean, if anything, they showed with their NES Classic that they bungle releases all the time. I don't think that their forced scarcity plan that they used to use works anymore, because I think people just get pissed and they're like, this, like, it used to work because it's like, oh my god, it's so hard to get a Super Nintendo.
Yeah, but nowadays people are it just frustrates people.
Right, exactly. It's like, just let me have it. I'll just pay you. Just give it.
Take the freaking money. Like, because we haven't had any scarcity issues with like Sony or Microsoft's consoles.
No.
Really. Like, if you want a PS4 or an Xbone, just go get it.
Right.
Like, but Nintendo, you gotta like pray and hope and make calls and reserve things. And,
that's the thing. Like, I'm interested in trying out a Switch and maybe buying one, depending on the price point and the like release catalog.
Depending on whether Monster Hunter's on it.
Yeah, but I have no illusions of being like, even if even if I know that the day it comes out it's going to be worth buying for me, I know that's not when I'm going to get it.
Right.
And I also think like they're in a tough position because they don't want to chase power. That's fine. So that means we're going to get Nintendo games. Yep. That means that they're going to be left in the dust with third parties, even though they say that they have a bunch. Like, they made a weird list like after that trailer. They're like, these are all the parties that we have. But it was like weird. Like, some of them were like people that make like, I don't know, that don't make games at all, and it's just like, why would you put them on there?
That was the other article that I had a picture of. But yeah, they had some on there that were like infogrames and stuff.
Yeah.
And that are like they make like audio codecs.
It's like, what? Yeah. So I think that the only thing that they could or have chased after was like an indie market. But even at that, that's something that's everywhere. It's like you have that on Steam, you have that on PS4. They chased that early on, you know. You have that on pretty much every other console, like a huge indie boom. It's like, so what are we going to have on the Switch that we didn't have on the Wii U? Nothing. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same deal. It's just going to be Nintendo first party games. And if you're a big Nintendo fan to play that, then that's fine. But
I'm absolutely looking forward to Breath of the Wild and an next Monster Hunter title. and whatever the hell Platinum ends up making for this console.
Yeah.
And there's supposed to be a Pokemon game on it, supposedly.
Supposedly a Pokemon Stars.
And a new Mario game, as they showed.
Yep. Like, there's plenty of games that I already know. Like, I'm gonna want to play these games on this, but I totally see where you're coming from, and I want to try this thing before I buy it.
Yeah.
I want to see what I'm getting into.
Go into a Best Buy, give it a shot.
Exactly.
Let's. I honestly, I just hope that they fail so that they can go third party. That's all. I hope.
Let us move on from Nintendo to our little Overwatch story.
Oh my goodness.
The hot topic on every corner of the internet is this action right here. I'm saying the picture I got pulled up on Twitch right now.
What is that, Mads Mikkelsen over there?
Mads Mikkelsen.
He's like, yes, I approve.
My man, I'm also in Death Stranding.
Yeah.
People are casting me in everything nowadays. You love it.
By the way, I think Mads Mikkelsen is getting typecast as a bad guy with black shit on his eyes. Because this is the third time that he's been that.
He's just going to be that forever, and I love him for it.
Doctor Strange. He was that in Casino Royale.
The Death Stranding trailer. He's got black shit all over him.
What is up?
But no, we were talking about Overwatch's Tracer was revealed on, I believe, December 20th or maybe December 19th.
20th.
To be gay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Tracer is a lesbian.
Or bisexual.
Or bisexual.
That's true.
Actually fair. We don't have confirmation one way or the other.
Yeah.
So the deal with this is for quite a while now, since the last BlizzCon, Blizzard has been asked multiple times, because Blizzard, when developing Overwatch, clearly put a lot of effort into making the cast very diverse, as far as just the kinds of people they are and like where they are from, like just everything about them. All these characters are very unique and come from different backgrounds and all that. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people were asking, are any of these characters LGBT? Do we have any non-heterosexual characters in this cast? And Blizzard said, yes, but we're not going to tell you who. Neener. And they said, we want that information to be revealed at a later date through some sort of media, so we're not going to make a statement about it until that is released. The Holiday comic just came out. That's just a fun little comic showing various Overwatch characters doing what they do on the holidays, such as Reaper standing in a rainy alleyway staring at happy families.
Of course that's what he does.
That was my personal favorite.
Wait, is that actually what's in the comic?
That's in the comic.
Oh my god.
There is a panel of a happy, like, Hispanic family walking down the street with Christmas presents, and Reaper is just standing in a rainy alleyway behind them, going like,
throwing presents out while going, ho, ho, ho,
ho, ho, ho. It's wonderful. It's Reinhardt and Torbjorn hanging out, reading stories to Torbjorn's 18 beautiful Swedish children. And his hot Swedish wife.
Yeah. Good for you, Torbjorn.
It's great. So yeah, it's a fun little comic, but the big reveal in it is that Tracer is not heterosexual, but like you said, maybe bi or
queer.
Gay, or she is queer. Yeah. And she has a very pretty redhead girlfriend, and they seem very happy together, and they go and visit Winston for the holiday.
Nice.
It's very sweet. It's cool because I personally think they handled this well. I think that they did this in a way that's doesn't come off as like super stereotyped or obnoxious or forced or anything like that. Because this doesn't change anything about Tracer as a character or how I perceive her either.
I think it's interesting that all of their character development happens outside of the game.
Yes.
Like, there's no character development in the game at all, but all of the peripheral stuff has tons of character development in it.
It's fun in a weird way.
Yeah.
Because you get all the development outside the game, and then within the game you get tons of interaction between all these developed characters. Mm-hmm. Through just, like, automatic voice lines that happen when certain characters...
It's almost like they looked at TF2.
It's almost like...
It's
almost like... Overwatch took a ton of cues from Team Fortress 2. I wonder if they possibly could have.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, it's weird to think about, but there's some uncanny resemblances, you know?
But yeah, this is fun. I think as like one of the best selling games of all time. I mean, it's always good to include people that players can associate with. So it's always a good move.
Even gorillas who play this game have someone to associate
gorillas
with.
and even like Grim Reapers, and even cyborg Japanese people
And blue French women.
And blue French women, they all got it. So I think it's fine. I mean, like, I don't usually get on like a high horse about this, but like, I think it's good that the biggest games are like, it's fine. Like,
exactly.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Because somebody should be doing things like this to get more diversity going on in the world of video games. And if anyone's going to do it, it might as well be people like Blizzard, who everyone's paying attention to.
Yeah.
Right. They sell the most selling games of all time.
Yep. Exactly.
Besides Rockstar.
Yeah. But so that's cool. It's neat. But unfortunately, Russia doesn't think it's cool. Zarya's mad.
Oh, the fun thing about that, everyone assumed the gay character was definitely Zarya.
I didn't.
I was
like, there's no way it's going to be Zarya because it's too obvious.
Right.
Blizzard would have been slammed for being hyper stereotypical if they had done that. And I actually, just as a little aside to this also, I think it's cool that it's Tracer as well, because Tracer is like the poster girl for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And has been since the game was first announced.
Right.
So the fact that they made her, of all people, the queer character in the game is also really neat.
Mm-hmm.
She's on the box, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. I also think it's a big. It's almost like a middle finger to that whole controversy earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Guys.
But Russia is not happy about
Yes.
this comic or this reveal because Russia has laws.
They have censorship laws.
Yeah, that basically say, like, hey, if you're talking about gay stuff, we need to censor it because we consider it gay propaganda.
Is entirely
it's to
illegal.
protect the children. As
Yes.
Yes. Protect the children.
I wonder what Pussy Riot has to say about this.
I'm sure plenty.
It's not a good scene over there for any queer people.
No, it is not. So this is just, I suppose if you know about the social climate in Russia right now, this is to be expected.
Yeah, this shouldn't really come as a shock. But yeah, so it's like their website is where you would read the comic is censored if you're in Russia. But I think the message said something, I can't remember the exact wording, but I remember it being like, oh, it's not available here.
Yeah,
So-
like Blizzard kind of saying, like, you can find it.
And those Russians, they know how to hack stuff, so...
They sure do.
But they... I feel like, if you're in Russia and you really want to read that webcomic and you're willing to try and find, like, a decent translator, just go find somewhere
Just
else.
do it.
And
Just go to WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
It also should be noted that Blizzard decided to not release this in Russia preemptively. This wasn't something that happened following release.
Mm-hmm.
That it was then they were then told, like, no, you got to take this down. They knew about this ahead of time and said, okay, yeah, we're just not gonna start this.
Man, being Blizzard's international PR manager must be a fucking nightmare.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, just not only this, but there's like a whole thing because like in China you can't have ghosts or like witches in media, skeletons and that, and it's like, well, that's a big problem for
Diablo. Must be really
Diablo.
fun.
Yeah. Because actually, I could be wrong, but it was a long time ago. There was a thing for World of Warcraft on Chinese servers. Like if you play undead, they have a lot more skin on them.
Oh, that's
They're
fascinating.
Skeletal, yeah, because it's not. That's a no-no from the higher ups.
Skeletons are just too spooky for China.
Yes, so it's just 4 spooky.
4 spooky, 5 them.
5 China.
So last little story we have. There's really not much to say about it, but Atlas Games, the developers of Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, as well as publishers of many things in the United States, including Demon's Souls and a lot of other kind of what were obscure Japanese titles, has revealed that they are working on a new fantasy RPG that's currently just called Project Ray Fantasy, or RE Fantasy, as a working title. This is by the key people behind Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, but has nothing to do with them beyond being an RPG. And their goal is to bring things back, make a game that has the feel of where the roots of the JRPG industry are, which is in fantasy role-playing games like the original Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, but with a distinctly Atlas flavor. So that's, I mean, there's some cool promotional art for it that they've already put out.
Yeah, I really like that promotional art.
Character designs as well. There's another really good one that I should try and pull up for the stream here. But I think this is really cool. It's super early in development. There's very little going on here right now, but it's interesting that they decided to announce it so early.
Yeah, this looks very D&D, honestly. Just like the picture I'm seeing, like the dragon crashing through the thing. And,
there's other art around of what people are assuming is a female protagonist of the game. This redheaded like elf girl wearing a suit of armor. It's also like very cool design. So I'm excited for this. I mean, I'm a big fan of all of their stuff.
I've honestly never played any Persona games, but I've always watched them from afar with like that looks really cool.
Persona is a wonderful little franchise. It is a very unique little franchise.
Yeah.
Even within its own genre.
I honestly think I think that when's Persona 5 supposed to hit?
It's April now, early April. I'm gonna be playing it the day it comes out for sure. So
yeah, I honestly think there was a lot of surge in the Western market for Persona 4 as it's been, or Persona 4 Golden as it's been around for so long, and that game is like 5 gajillion hours long.
Yep.
But I think I think that there's enough swell in Western markets now that Persona 5 might hit bigger than some people think. I think it'll do better than a lot of people think in the Western sphere, especially after the problems of Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, because Final Fantasy 15 has been generally well received, but it's known to be a somewhat incomplete feeling piece of work.
Yeah, and it's impossible to separate its production time from from looking at it objectively.
Right. Even for all the good that there is in it. Yeah. I think Persona 5, when people get their hands on it, is going... And based on the reception it had in Japan when it released, because it released back in September, this game is incredible.
Yeah.
From everything
it looks
I've
incredible.
Heard. It's gorgeous. Whoever did the UI in that game should be given an award just for that.
Yeah.
It
oozes with style.
Yeah, it's so good. And from what I've heard, the plot is fantastic, the gameplay is fantastic. Like, they absolutely hit it out of the park with this one. So, good on you, Atlas, and I can't wait to see what you do with this fantasy title.
And I think they're positioned to become pretty... Because I think there's a lot of people that are really craving old-school JRPG stuff. Yeah. And they're just not getting it. For the most part.
I used to play tons of JRPGs back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. And I fell out of that really hard because they all just started feeling samey and dull.
It's not your fault. It's because they started sucking.
Yeah. The last one I played that I really, really liked was 2010's Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah.
Because I picked that game up because I heard it was good. I was like, I haven't played a JRPG in forever. I'm going to check this out. And that game had the magic for me. I started that and I was like, oh, this is what it was like back when these games were good.
Back before life sucked.
Yeah, I loved Xenoblade Chronicles, so I want that to come back full force for sure. Last thing, Nier Automata, the upcoming title by Platinum Games, and I think it's a first party Sony at this point. That thing. They put out a demo for this game on PS4. It's live, and everyone's saying it's incredible. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but I really want to. And the full game comes out in February, I believe, still. Did it get pushed back till March?
I mean, it's one of the 8,000 games that Platinum's developing. So
yes, it got pushed back to March 7th. So yeah, it's on its way out soon. But you can go check out the 30-minute demo. Everybody says it is really, really something special. So I'm excited. Check that out. Normally we end the show talking about upcoming and recent video game releases. There are no upcoming video game releases to talk about. We got nothing.
The year's over.
Year's over. What just?
Well, there's actually one cool little thing for Steam players that I noticed the other day is that the demo for Resident Evil 7 was released on Steam for free.
Oh, cool. That's great.
I have not played it yet, but I'll probably do that tonight, actually.
Oh, get spooked.
Wait, you guys, on the 22nd, Roller Coaster Dreams came out.
Whoa!
And Don Bradman Cricket 17.
Oh, I was excited about
Bradman's
that.
Cricket Eye!
All the sticky wickets you can handle.
All the sticky wickets.
And don't forget, we got Halo Wars Definitive Edition just came out. So you can play... In actual good news, Shantae Half Genie Hero came out and has been getting a decent reception.
I think is that on sale for the Steam Winter Sales right now?
I don't know.
Oh,
it might be.
FYI, the Steam Winter Sales just started.
Oh yeah, if you want to go get some cheap games,
dude,
check it out.
Doom
Steam had actually crashed earlier in the day, but now they're back up.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Doom is back on sale for 20 schmeckles.
Oh, they did it again.
Very much
Yep.
Get Doom, yeah. Go buy Doom.
Is, one of my games of the year, definitely.
We still have to play it. We're going to do a stream of it at some point.
I keep calling you and be like, damn,
dude.
this week can we stream Doom?
Bro, I've been so busy the past few weeks, you don't even know.
You don't even... It's
a
fantastic...
Listen, man, I got a wife.
Oh.
She's in school. I'm a postman.
Oh.
It's crazy.
I'm living the life of a 1950s person.
I am! It's
games.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So I don't know how long you guys go on this, but I was going to ask you what are your kind of game of the year? It's like maybe not just one, but
we're gonna be talking about that next week on our show because we are gonna do our retrospective of 2016.
That's right.
And and I think probably in there we'll talk about the games that we like the best.
Yeah.
We are out of time though.
Yeah, we usually try to go.
I'm glad
for
that I
an hour.
unknowingly segued you to your next show.
Yeah, that was perfect actually.
So get ready for that next week.
What we'll probably do now, I think we're gonna wrap up the show, and then maybe you wanna stick around for a bit, Chris, and record our monthly bonus content with us.
Sure,
Yeah.
I can make myself another drink,
That's
another
where
holiday drink.
That's where we talk about everything that we like that's not video games.
Oh, sweet!
So that can be a good time.
I like
and
things that are not video games.
If you, dear listener, would like to hear that bonus content, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about Star Wars. You can get in on that by donating to our Patreon. That's Don't Copy That Floppy on Patreon. That is just one of the many fantastic rewards you can get.
You can also help us reach different milestones. One of them was getting a Twitch channel.
Which we have.
We have it now.
We did it.
Other ones will include like doing more YouTube content, like videos on individual stories, stuff like that.
And if you're some kind of chump with a hole in his pocket who don't got no money, you can just go leave us an iTunes review.
That would be super helpful.
That would also help support the show, and we'd really appreciate it.
I've heard that those iTunes reviews are very important.
Oh yeah, that's what we've been hearing too. Like people underestimate it, but that counts for everything nowadays.
Yep.
People look at that on your job application. How many iTunes reviews you got?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
How many iTunes reviews have
Would you care for a game of Don Bradman Cricket?
Oh my, you work at the post office, you say?
Yeah, as a wife, you say. So, anyway, we've been Don't Copy That Floppy with special guest Chris Boudreau.
Chris, where can people find you online?
Yeah, where do people go and find more of you?
That's a fantastic question. You can find me at my Twitter handle, which is at HereWeGomez8, HereWeGomez number 8.
Gomez as in the Addams Family patriarch?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And I should have done this before, but you can find my writing, my video game writing, at medium.com/@Chris Boudreau.
Fantastic.
That's that. And you can find my music at bandcamp.com/castles full of vassals.
Ooh, that's good.
That's good.
Well, it was great to have you on the show. We'd love to have you back another time.
This was fun. I'm sorry, like you already said that you guys ramble. I ramble a lot too, so
no sweat. It's a big ramble cast over
big
here.
ramble fest.
That's
Yeah, but this was fun. This was a hell of a lot of fun.
I think our talk about the Assassin's Creed movie was like the most off topic we've ever gotten on this podcast.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That was really rough. But anyway, thank you all for listening so much. I have been Dan.
I've been Lex.
And, say it with us, Chris. And remember, till next week, don't copy that floppy.